drink out there? No.
Hi there, got the mic there. That's great. Thanks very much. Good afternoon. We'll just begin with questions, please. Gordon.
What's the overriding feeling getting into this one?
Well, the squad, we're very relaxed but focused on the game. We've started the season well. Really good performance in the last game, and yeah, we're fully prepared to go into this type of game. And there's a number of us have experienced it before, so we know the importance of the home leg. So yeah, we're looking forward to it.
What does that look like in practice? Talking about trying to get a healthy lead. How do you strike that balance between going after the game, maybe not getting too anxious or not getting too nervous if it's not coming so easily?
Well, I think it's how we play. Anyway, I think we set off in every game to go and attack the game and play our football in it. So, and this will be no different. We two of the three experiences I've had in qualification for having gone through qualification phases has been based around a really, really good first leg. So, and in both of those we'd scored 5 goals. So for us, it's really that attacking intent in the game and being really, really difficult to play against. And then hopefully we can then take an advantage then into the second leg.
How helpful are those experiences? Because some of the squad have had the luxury of automatic qualification in recent seasons, but for you, for Callum, Kieran Tierney and a couple of others, they've had these high pressure moments before.
Yeah, I think it's very beneficial when you've gone through it, and just for mindset, also for preparation as well. Travelling over there next week, having been there before, understanding our timings, how we set all of that up, and travel arrangements, everything. So yeah, it definitely helps.
What kind of challenge do you expect from Kairat tomorrow night?
Well, I think like a lot of teams at this level in qualification and in the Champions League, they're teams that's used to winning. You also look at them. They're 20 games into their season, so they're well into their season, so they're going to be at a good level of fitness. They're a team that like to build the game from behind, mostly short, and then as they progress through the pitch, fullbacks go high, wingers come on the inside. So really what you expect from a modern team at a really good level. They technically strong and play some really good football.
Do you feel your team has just been building quite nicely in the opening weeks of this season, now coming into such a crucial period with such big games?
Yeah, I think this is what, obviously we haven't experienced this over the last couple of seasons, but this is what this period's about. You want to arrive into these games. This is a massive game. There's always that feeling when I was here first, the big games seem to be right at the very beginning, and this is exactly what this is, because this tees you up for the rest of your season. So, but I think that amongst a lot of noise and everything else that's gone about Celtic, what we've tried to do as a football team and as a squad is really focus on what we can control, which is getting the players as fit as they possibly can, playing the game technically at a really high level, and what you can start to see is the intensity level going up. But that also depends on the opposition that you play. If a team's camped right in the final 25 metres of the pitch, it's sometimes really difficult to play a really, really intense game because it's only in such a short distance. Once the game opens up a wee bit, then of course you find your spaces and the intensity then can increase. So so we've had 3 different types of games so far this season, navigated them very, very well, and our last performance we really played really well. So it's a good platform going into this game.
There had been a report, I think, from down south yesterday saying that Jamie Vardy would be keen on a move to Celtic. He was maybe waiting out for a move to Celtic this summer. Is he someone that you'd like to work with again?
Listen, I would not speak about any individual player. Of course, I worked really well with Jamie. He was brilliant for me in my time at Leicester. So, but no, there's been so many names floated about. So, but I wouldn't disclose either way.
Brendan, you were hoping to strengthen the squad before tomorrow's game. Is that now possible? Is that, or are you going to have to go with the guys that you've got in the building just now?
Well, that's what I'm feeling at this moment in time. Yeah, so the players that we have will be the players that I trust that can do the job. And if we can get some players in before then that would be amazing. But the focus has been very much on what is here at this moment.
And the guys that you've got here, the experience, the European experience you've had, that must count for quite a lot in terms of these matches, but also the levels that you've reached with this kind of core group.
Yeah, I think that we gave a hint last season of what we can do when we improved the squad last year and went into the Champions League in a really good way. And so, as I said, we felt and showed what we can do at the level. And for me, the job is to keep trying to develop and at minimum sustain that. And for that, you need that constant improvement of your squad. So, but currently where this group's at, with what we have, the players are doing very, very well. Really focusing in on the training's been so good, been really intense, and that's allowed us to keep improving. So we don't want to overthink this game. We know the magnitude of it. We know the consequence of it. However, it'll only look good for us if we play to the level that we want to play, and that's what we're focused on.
And if it goes the way that you're hoping and you do qualify, do you think then you'll get the strengthening that you're looking for? In other words, maybe it looks like they're waiting to see what the budget is, if it's Champions League budget or as you hope for or not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We just play the game, and we'll see where we're at the end of the window.
Brendan, you mentioned there about kind of the players blocking out the noise. Is that the kind of one of the messages to the guys in the dressing room, that there's so much kind of chat at the minute about players coming in and out, and about potentially what the club could make from getting to the Champions League? But I'd imagine from the players' point of view, you need to kind of block that out completely.
Yeah, I mentioned this a few weeks ago to the players. I think it's important to just set the narrative for them, because, like you say, there's so much noise, especially as it ramps up towards the end. And it can be, and I've been in enough changing rooms to know how stability can be lost in this moment, because some players will be thinking, are they staying, are they going? But in the midst of that, you've got really important games. So I've already mentioned this to players a number of weeks back, just about it is and respecting and acknowledging that it is a difficult part of the season. However, the money will be in your bank every month, and it'll be from Celtic. And whilst it is, you need to perform. So you don't need to worry about anything else. I respect and acknowledge that it can be tough, especially are you going to be here or are you not? But Celtic pay your wages, and while they do, you focus on doing the very best you can for Celtic. And then we start that process every day in training, being the very best that we can, pushing each other, demanding, and then we'll take that into the games. And in fairness to the players, they've been brilliant with that. You see it in their attitude in the game, the energy in the games. Been very, very good. So now we have to keep this going, and then, like I said, come the end of the window, that'll be then the squad for the rest of the season.
And again, I know there's obviously so much chat about signings, but do you feel the group that you have just now is Champions League ready, regardless of what happens in the next couple of weeks?
Champions League ready, as in for these two games?
For the league phase?
Well, I think firstly we want to qualify, of course, and if it's with this group of players, I'm confident that we can do that. Going forward, listen, it's clear we would have to improve the squad.
Is there a level of frustration, Brendan, that you're at this point, and the work in the squad hasn't been done that you want?
No, listen, I'm experienced. I've been here long enough, and I understand where we're at. So I'm not going to get, too frustrated on it, because I can't really control a lot of it. So, but what I can control is the players that we have, helping them being the very best that they can be, and making sure that they're prepared, and making sure that they're ready, and like we were against Falkirk the other night, hungry for the game. And we played some brilliant football the other night, and played at the intensity that I want. And those players there now are giving me absolutely everything. So I'm not going to get into a situation where I look frustrated or am frustrated, because that transfers onto the players that I have. And these boys have been brilliant. So we're hoping that if you get somebody in or not, be great. If not, then we'll go with what we got. We'll do everything we can, try and ensure all the details is right for the game. And let's see if we can take Celtic back into the Champions League game, which is ultimately what we want to do.
Brendan, can I take you back a few years to your first spell in these playoff games? I mean, obviously, 800 games as a manager. Do you think of 2 more stressful occasions than Beersheba than in Astana?
Not many. I think the Beersheba one was the best 2-0 loss I ever had in my life. But it was funny, you know, because we were so good in the game here, and then we conceded a couple of late goals, 5-2, and then all of a sudden we're 2-0 down, and the guy at the end of the game, he's had a brilliant shot from outside the box that looked like it was rocketing right into the top corner for 3-0. But we got through, and that was important. So that set us off on a real good journey that season, and then obviously after that Astana. And it just shows you that, okay, the end result, the end aggregate scoring, that was 8-4, but there was a little period in the second half where we had to calm everything down. You know, it was 6-1 at half-time on aggregate in that second leg. Then we threw a spell in the second half. We conceded 3 quick goals to put it to 6-4, and then we were able to, as I said, it finished 8-4, I believe, and then it doesn't look like there was anything to worry about. But you always have moments, and but for us, I think we're prepared for that. And but firstly, we want to prepare for this game and be the best that we can.
Back in those ties, I think you had going into those matches, you had players missing. I think you had teenagers playing centre half and guys getting chucked in, and it seemed a kind of stressful kind of period. For all the rhetoric around this kind of tie and signings and all that stuff, is it a bit more calm and a bit more confident and relaxed going into this one?
No, I feel it. And I feel that like, because I said you can get distracted sometimes by what you don't have. But what I know I have is I've got guys that are understanding the structure of the team really, really well, how we want to play, how we want to work. They're gaining fitness all the time and are really motivated to get there. So I would say that from a, stability-wise, this is probably the most stable that we've been, certainly compared to those couple of games. I remember having to bring Colo in late on and the Beersheba game, and so this here is a lot more stable.
And just kind of following on from Robert saying, obviously you want to tool up if you get to the league stages, but are you confident you've got enough just now to get through this tie with what you've got?
Yes. Yeah, have no injuries, and I believe that the quality of our game and the intensity that we want to work at can hopefully be enough to see us through. But like I said, these games will always be tough games.
Just talking about some of the previous experiences you had in qualification, if you remember back in Athens when you went there, the mood music around the club was maybe a bit similar to what it is just now. How much does that experience help you as a manager, manage that with the players now? Are you a lot calmer about things now? Do you have a lot better perspective on it, I guess, because you've been through that before?
Yeah, I think, as I said, you're a little bit more philosophical on it, and it's so important that, because that emotional transfer can get through with players. And like you say, there's even more noise now around the game, not just Celtic, but around the game. So, but yeah, I think it is very much experience helps you massively, of course, and you need, and it's understanding. I've been making this for quite a while now. It's very much, you can control what you can, and the squad of players that you have. Of course, we need to push. We need to always. I said it before the other week. I want Celtic to live in the best possible place it can be, on and off the pitch, and that's not only players. That's about infrastructure. That is academy. That is everything to do with Celtic getting at the very best operation that we possibly can, and I know for that will always be about success on the pitch, and you get success on the pitch, everything else flows from that. So, but those experiences allow me to be, like Michael said, I'm whatever it is, 800 games or something. So you would like to think you can be a little bit more philosophical at times.
Mr. Coach, don't you think that Scottish and the Kazakh football are similar? Maybe national team, maybe clubs, Celtic, Kairat, Astana, Shakhtar Karaganda, is all the football teams in the Kazakhstan very same play football with the Scotland football teams?
Honestly, I don't know enough about football in Kazakhstan. I obviously know Astana. I know the team we play tomorrow night because that's what we've been preparing. So I don't know enough about the teams. I certainly know Celtic. Celtic is one of the biggest football clubs in the world. And maybe, I don't know, maybe in Kazakhstan you have a team like that. But certainly I know here, this is an iconic club. And like I said, one of the biggest football clubs in the world. So, but whoever Celtic play, we will always respect. It doesn't matter where they come from, whether it's Kazakhstan or anywhere else. We respect the opponents that we play, and we respect that both teams will be fighting for a place in the Champions League.
Hi Brendan, Paul Bernardo didn't feature in the opening 2 league games, and you gave him 15 minutes on Friday. Where do you see him fitting into the Celtic side, given the competitiveness in the current midfield area?
Well, it's exactly that. It's a very competitive squad in our back line and in the midfield area. He's one of a number of good players that we have in there. And sometimes how it works in football, the ones that aren't playing, you get asked and then it switches about. But I think what we see in this early stage, especially when there's been one game a week, that the team sort of stays pretty similar. I obviously changed it against Falkirk, knowing that we got this game, knowing we got a game Saturday and then a game on the Tuesday, so they're quite tight. So I needed to make sure some of those players that might play in those games are up to speed. But I think once you get then into Europe, you need every player. And Paolo's a very talented player, and he's one of a number of talented players in midfield.
And there was no room for Hayato and Amura in your Champions League squad. Can you just elaborate on that kind of decision?
Yeah, very easy. He's not quite at the level as of yet that I would expect. The plan for Enid was to come in and train and see where he was at, with the possibility of going out on loan, because he's only had a year's football. He came in as a centre half, stroke left back, but his defensive qualities aren't at the level that would see me put him in against Yamal Lamine if I had to. So it's as simple as that. So that's why he's not involved. He's played in some really good games against Cork and Queen's Park, but the reality is that's the level that we play. You get 80% of the ball and you've got the ball. But we also need a player that can defend. And we're hoping that over the couple of years, with experience and with maybe a loan, that can take place. But at this very, very moment, that's why he's not in the squad. It's as simple as that.
Hi, Brendan. You might be glad that the transfer window's coming to a close in the next 2 weeks.
Robbie. Sorry, son.
Sorry. Come to close in the next 2 weeks. But if I can just take your mind back to 2 years ago, you sat next to Michael Nicholson, and he said that you want Celtic to be a world-class club in everything that they do. Do you think Celtic's a world-class club in their transfer business so far this summer?
Listen, I don't know about world-class. We just want to make sure that we are in the best possible place that we can be. You know, I honestly can't sit here and give you every answer for every question. I'll do my very best. And what I want to do is make the team the very best that we can. And I'm hoping that by the end of the window that we can be that. As a football manager and coach, I would want it now. Because I'm getting into games here that mean everything for this club going forward. But if we don't have it in the building now, then we have to work with what's here. So, but I would want us to be, operationally, strategically, I'd want us to be the very best that we possibly can be.
And I also ask that because in terms of outgoings, there's been a bit of uncertainty regarding some players. We've got Stephen Welsh and Marco Tellio, who both probably would be moved on this summer but not moved on yet, even though offers have been there. What's the latest with them, and what is the process?
Yeah, well, what makes it difficult is that we can only there's selling a player and loaning a player, and obviously we only have a certain amount of loans. So there's 6 loans internationally that the boys can go out. So then you have to look at it about then who is to go out, and sometimes clubs will offer to buy a player, and they'll offer to loan a player. So we have to make sure that it is the right loan. And the 2 boys that you mentioned have been great, and they've had opportunities to move on. And I hope for them that they get the chance to do that. So, but there's a little bit more behind the scenes that needs to happen for that to take place.
Brendan, what advice would you give to the likes of Benjamin Negren, Shin Yamada, and maybe a couple of others who have yet to experience Celtic Park on a high-intensity Champions League night?
Well, this is something that I know that the guys have been speaking to them on, because they won't have heard anything like this before. It's obviously part of the reason they come. They all come for Champions League and with a chance to win trophies, but it's not until you experience it. So you're stood out there and they hear the noise, and yeah, you can't really prepare them for it. You can tell them and you can give them the anticipation of it all, but it won't be until they're out there and they feel it, and then they can look forward to it, and then hopefully it gives them that wee extra bit of energy.
And Dane Murray signed his new contract last week, got his goal on Friday night, and great for him. How confident are you that, if need be, you can now throw him into such an environment?
Yeah, I would have no qualms with Dane. I think what we have at the minute, we've got 5 centre halves, which I know through my experiences that you virtually need that throughout a long season where players pick up injuries and whatnot. Dane came through his first pre-season, and since he was 18, this summer, that was his first complete one. Came through it really, really well. And me looking at him and seeing him coming through that, I've been a big admirer of him, and I think he's got all the tools to reach the very highest level. You know, his size, his pace with the ball, and once he gets a fraction more development, then he can be a really, really good player. His challenge now at the minute is he's competing with Cameron Carter-Vickers, who's been the stalwart here. But I've got no doubt over the next 12 to 18 months, you know, there was lots of clubs have asked about him on loan, and that's what I've had to weigh up. Do I send him out? Do I keep him here? But no, he will stay here, because I think he's a player that he will contribute for us. And okay, at the beginning now, he might not be playing every single week, but I know, like against a Premiership team the other night, I have no qualm. Boom, in you go. If he had to play tomorrow night, I would have no qualm. But he's competing on that right side with Cam. And I'm hopeful that over time he can really go and show his qualities. But more importantly, I want him here and here to show what he can do for Celtic. And there's no doubt he'll get games. So that's Dane. I think I'm so happy for him. Such a tough, you know, I've seen him play here in the game when he was 17, 18, and then he's a couple of horrendous injuries. But he's used that to his advantage by going away and getting you see him now at 6'4", his body, his shape, everything. He's really robust and strong, and he looks like a proper centre half. So I've been really pleased with Dane. Happy for him to sign his deal, and now he needs to work hard to sign the next one.
Cam, did you want? All good? No more? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.